think about the Raiders becoming Steelers West? Is that a good idea?
Well, look, on paper, again, just from how they are trying to put this team together, generate excitement with this organization heading into 2020, look, it makes perfect sense, especially considering the fact that they have the cap space, they have a head coach who really does, from a historical perspective, prefer veterans over developing young players. And these two guys together, look, Bell and AB, look, they're a dynamic duo. They're two of the best at their respective positions in the NFL. And it's something that would totally make sense from a team building standpoint, although I will caution you this. Look, there's been many, and I've said this earlier in the earlier segment, there have been many offseason paper champions that wound up, when it came time to actually play, it just didn't work. The chemistry wasn't right, and it wound up blowing up in teams' faces. But look, on the surface, this makes total sense. There is no one who will argue what these two guys can bring to the table on the football field. And I'll tell you what, if John can make it all work in the locker room and really supplement this football team, especially on the defensive side of the ball and through this draft, who's to say that, teams have gone worse to first and they have flipped things around very quickly in the NFL. History has shown you. And these two guys together out there in Oakland, especially happy, healthy, and ready to roll in this kind of system with a quarterback like Derek Carr, who, again, I believe can be a top 10, top 15 passer. Yeah, I like it. I would be trying to make this happen if it fit into my overall structure. There's no question about it.
Are the Raiders as Steelers West a good idea? That's a huge improvement over being the Raiders West of the Raiders West, right? If you could be the Steelers West, that's a huge improvement. And I don't even think these guys have to get you to the promised land, They just got to make you good and exciting while, in the transition next year and then the year after going to Vegas. They have to make you respectable. And usually you would say skills position players can't do that, one or two skills position players. But LeVeon Bell and Antonio Brown are special. They have each spent time as the premier player at their position in the entire NFL, meaning in the world. That was the best wideout and the best running back in the world in the recent past. And given their age and everything, there's no reason like this upcoming season they couldn't be that again. So Derek Carr, we've also seen in the not-too-distant past as an excellent quarterback. And if you give him two weapons like that, then not only does Gruden get to find out, do I have a quarterback for Vegas going, into the future? Is this franchise set at that position? But also you can be fun and exciting and at least maybe a 500 team or better while you're figuring that out. Even if that's not the kind of final version of the team you hope to win a Super Bowl with, it makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense because you see the combination of those two, particularly with their experiences most recently in Pittsburgh. So you're collaborating with one another. The pressure would mount for them to produce. They would be incredibly focused on doing all that they could, Max and Lou, in order for this to transpire. So in that regard, that's true. But you just get the impression that they would be better off going in different directions, because what you don't want to do is have the combination of them two having the eye of the football storm upon them because of what we just finished talking about since this show began today, and you're looking at the Raiders with those storylines coming with you all 16, 17 weeks of the season. You don't want that. Antonio Brown got his money. He's in a different situation. Clearly, he put himself in a better situation for himself, his future, his family, et cetera, et cetera. You, Le'Veon Bell, you were looking to do the same. You handled it differently because you sat out the season. You cost yourself $14.5 million. Now you're looking to get paid again. You've got Indianapolis as a potential landing spot. Who knows whether or not Green Bay or somebody else will get in the mix. There's going to be a whole bunch of people knocking on Le'Veon Bell's door. I personally think they would be better off being in separate directions. And if you're the Raiders, particularly with Carr there, unproven, having more to prove, the talent that is Le'Veon and Antonio Brown, you can't turn that down, Max, I understand. But the other stuff that will come with it, if we got questions about Derek Carr just playing, how many questions are we going to have about him if he's in that particular situation where the eye of the storm is upon them because the Pittsburgh
Lewis,
we'll
find out, Lewis, right?
I'll say this, though. This is why, when you continue to try and work this through and try and figure out whether or not these two would be good together or whether they'd be better separate, I'll say this. Because of their shared experiences in Pittsburgh and because how they both ultimately are leaving Pittsburgh, it's very rare that you get high-quality players like this, upper echelon, unique players that are as motivated as these two, not
Right.
just by money. Not just by money. Look, everybody's motivated by money, okay? Everybody wants to make as much as they possibly can, and players are no different, okay? They're no different. But this is unique. Many times as a general manager, as a team builder, one of the things you worry about is players having a dip down in production, a dip down in preparation, a dip down in motivation once they secure their financial future. These two guys are unique. I think these two guys are coming into the 2019 season with a lot of individual, a lot of personal motivation, and I think two of them in this case may be better than one because in many ways they both are a little bit ticked off of how things ended with the Steelers and how they felt they weren't respected with the Steelers. And I think that kind of shared, that kind of commonality, that kind of thing that they would be talking about every day. I think they would, quite honestly, I think they would relish the spotlight. I think they would relish the pressure. I think they have so much to prove.
Look. I'm
just saying this from a Raiders standpoint. I would
I'm
want
talking
some
about
of
the
that.
other guys. I'm not talking about them. I know LeVeon Bell and Antonio Brown are going to show up. I'm talking about the cats around them and what they will be able to handle, mainly Derek Carr.
Hey, well,
that's
you know
what I'm talking about.
You know what?
Let's find out.
I would exactly. I would want to ratchet up the pressure as much as possible.
Okay,
Turn up the
I
heat
can
as
live
much
with
as
that.
possible
I can
because
live with
I
that.
want to know. I want to know. Can you raise your game to meet the level of play that two All-Pros that we brought in here, or what we think are going to produce for us?
You know what
better
else?
Produce like them. Simple
You know what
as
else?
that.
Le'Veon Bell, you can line up at receiver. Like, Le'Veon Bell never has to come off the field. So you have two elite receivers, not one, but two. And you can even split Le'Veon out wide, let alone play him in the slot.
Durability questions, though, man. Durability questions.
What's that?
Durability questions.
But listen,
All right.
while on the field, the guy is amazing.
Yes.
To put with Antonio Brown.